Welcome to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something that's reshaping enterprise automation right now, Agentic AI in production. We're talking about RAG, MCP, multi-agent orchestration, and how organizations are actually deploying this stuff at scale. Sam, thanks for joining me. This feels like a watershed moment for AI in the enterprise.
Absolutely, Alex. And the numbers back that up. We're seeing 73% of enterprise AI initiatives planned for this year involve autonomous agents. That's up from 31% just 2 years ago. But here's the catch. Most organizations still treat this like they're upgrading a chatbot. They're not. Agentic AI is fundamentally different.
So what's the actual difference? When we say agentic, what are we talking about versus a traditional chatbot?
It's about autonomy and tool integration. A chatbot waits for you to ask a question and gives you an answer. An agentic system decides what to do, plans a sequence of steps, invokes tools, and keeps iterating until the goal is met, sometimes without you asking for each individual step. Think about customer service. A chatbot answers your question about a refund. An agent answers your question, checks inventory, pulls your order history, creates a ticket, escalates if needed, and updates your CRM, all in one interaction.
That's a huge operational difference. And I'm guessing the implementation barrier isn't the AI models themselves, but everything else around it?
Exactly. IBM's research found that 68% of European enterprises cite tool orchestration across systems as their biggest blocker, not model capability. You've got legacy systems, databases, APIs, compliance frameworks all needing to work together. That's the real challenge.
And speaking of compliance, Europe's got the EU AI Act to contend with. We've been looking at how Helsinki and other European organizations are tackling this. Why is that relevant?
Finland actually has a huge advantage here. Strong digital governance framework, GDPR maturity, public sector digitalization already in place. When you're deploying an autonomous agent that makes decisions on behalf of your organization, you need robust audit trails, transparency, and governance controls. Finnish enterprises already have those practices embedded. They're not retrofitting compliance, they're building on solid foundations.
That makes sense. Now let's get into the technical stack. RAG, retrieval augmented generation, keeps coming up as non-negotiable. Why is that?
Because hallucination is the enemy of autonomous systems. A chatbot hallucinates, and a human user catches it. An agent hallucinates, makes a confident decision based on false information, and you've got a problem. RAG grounds the agent in real enterprise data. Before an agent acts, it retrieves relevant context from your actual knowledge base, databases, policies, whatever's authoritative in your environment, then it reasons based on that.
So it's not just the agent knows more stuff, it's that every action traces back to a source?
Precisely. According to recent research, 82% of organizations deploying multi-agent systems identified hallucination in autonomous contexts as their highest production risk. RAG flips that around. Every agent output can be traced back to the original document or database state. That's critical for EU AI Act compliance and audit requirements. You need to be able to explain why your agent made a decision.
Walk me through how RAG actually works in a production environment. Is it just semantic search?
No, it's much more sophisticated than that. Production RAG uses hybrid retrieval, combining keyword search and vector search together. You add re-ranking stages to ensure you're getting the most relevant results, and you adapt the prompt based on what the retrieval quality looks like. It's not a one-shot process. The agent iteratively retrieves context, refines understanding, and reasons across multiple turns. And it all has to work with your actual enterprise data structures, which are messy and unstructured.
That's a real engineering problem. Now, the other piece I want to dig into is MCP, Model Context Protocol. Anthropic's been pushing this as a standard. What's the practical benefit?
MCP is solving the integration nightmare. Right now, if you want to connect an AI agent to multiple tools and systems, you're writing custom integrations for each one. MCP provides a standardized protocol for how agents communicate with tools. Think of it like USB for AI. You don't need a custom adapter for every device, Everything speaks the same language.
So instead of building bespoke connections between your agent and your CRM, your ERP, your database, MCP creates a universal interface.
Exactly, and that's huge for enterprise scalability. Instead of engineering teams burning cycles on custom integrations, you get interoperability out of the box. MCP is emerging as an industry standard, which means vendors are building support for it. You've got CRM providers, database companies, SaaS platforms all adopting it. That accelerates deployment and reduces technical debt.
That sounds like a game changer for teams that don't have unlimited engineering resources. What about the orchestration layer? How do you manage multiple agents working together?
Multi-agent orchestration is where it gets complex. You might have a customer service agent, an inventory management agent, a billing agent, all needing to coordinate. You need routing logic to decide which agent handles which task, communication protocols so they can pass information between each other, and conflict resolution when priorities collide. And crucially, you need observability so you can audit what each agent did and why.
Observability is key, especially for compliance. How does that actually work?
You're logging every agent decision, every tool invocation, every retrieval, every reasoning step, not for debugging, though that's useful, but for accountability. If something goes wrong, you need to trace the entire chain. What information did the agent retrieve? What reasoning did it apply? What decision did it make? And what was the outcome? For EU AI Act compliance, that audit trail isn't optional.
Let's bring this back to reality. What does a real deployment look like?
Start small, but build for scale. Pick one high-impact use case, usually customer service or internal operations. Implement RAG with your most critical data first. Get MCP integrations in place for your core systems, and set up multi-agent orchestration for that domain. Run it in production with guardrails. Agents have escalation paths to humans, rate limits, approval workflows. Monitor relentlessly. Once you've validated the pattern, you can extend to other domains.
What's the biggest mistake you see organizations making?
Underestimating data and governance preparation. They think the challenge is the AI model, so they focus there. But 80% of the work is actually getting your data clean, governance-ready, and retrievable at scale. And they ignore compliance too early. If you bolt compliance on at the end, you've got to re-architect. If you build it in from the start, it's just part of your design.
Final question. For European organizations especially, what should they be doing right now?
Audit your data governance and GDPR implementation. That foundation matters. Start experimenting with RAG on non-critical data to understand the engineering. Map your critical systems and think about MCP integration patterns. And engage with compliance teams early. The EU AI Act is real. You can't ignore it. Organizations that build compliance into their agentic strategy from day one will move faster than those retrofitting it later.
Sam, thanks for that grounded perspective. We've covered a lot of ground here, from what makes Agentic AI different to RAG grounding, MCP integration, and multi-agent orchestration with compliance front and center. If you want the full deep dive with technical examples and deployment patterns, head over to etherlink.ai and find the complete article. Thanks for listening to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and we'll be back soon with more on how AI is reshaping the enterprise.